In my previous video, I told a little story about how I bought this whole lot of Gravely side-by-sides, which these are made by Polaris. So I ended up buying 7 of these things that came out of Texas from a guy that just kind of randomly called me out of the blue, and then I had them shipped from Texas to Nebraska from a shipping agency that just happens to spam email me all the time. And, you know, as the process went along, I kind of thought I was getting scammed, but eventually they all showed up. So in this video, I just want to walk through, we'll kind of get one of these things kind of ready to go. So far on these things, like I said, these things came from a limestone, quarry mine thing. So they're just covered in limestone stuff. And I've already power washed these once with my normal power washer, and then I rented a Hotsy to really try to get through it. And this is about as good as they cleaned up. On these things, there's just this kind of white residue dust that's just incredibly hard to get off. I've tried some CLR cleaner, I've tried some vinegar and stuff like that. Basically what I've decided to end up doing on the ones I've got ready is I've been kind of spray painting back over this stuff. Anything that was black, I'm painting back black. So it's not the best fix in the world, but this isn't a restoration by any means on these things. It's just a matter of trying to get them look a little bit better and functioning the way they're supposed to again, so I can sell them. So yeah, we'll get to this one here. Most of these things, like I said, they all run and drive, but we're mainly going to tackle some cosmetic stuff. I've got to recover a seat. On one of these, it's really jerky, so it's definitely going to need new belts. We'll pull the belts off and replace that, and then just kind of check overall as far as the oil and air filter and stuff like that, and get them all cleaned and detailed. And then once we get done, they'll look more like this after we're done with it. So these are a couple of them that I've got finished so far. Like I said, basically I've cleaned up all the black stuff, recovered the driver's seat on most of them, just kind of clean and detailed them. All right, so I'll follow along. Let's get to it. I know that I'm cheating on this, but I have spent so much time, more time than I can justify, to get all this white limestone dust and debris off. And this is kind of the only option I got left. That I've got basically all the chunks off of it and everything. It's just kind of this white scaling, which on black plastics and components, it really sticks out and makes these things look horrible. So we're spray painting everything. Everything that's black originally, going back to black. These are definitely not show machines by any means. They're all work machines, and they're going to get put back to work. But we're going to make them just look a little bit better. It's just spray paint, but it makes a huge difference. I've already done some of these plastic trims over here and stuff, and the wheels, and so we'll go around and kind of do the rest. You know, a lot of these, the rear chassis and suspension and stuff, touch up these wheels and everything, and then address a couple other cosmetic issues on these things. On to the back side. Just a little bit of paint makes a big difference on these things. Okay, I've got everything painted, so back underneath the front wheel wells, did a lot of the interior plastics and stuff, and then up and over the roll cage and some of the roof. Touched up all the frame members back down here and the wheels. So I think next thing we're gonna do, pull this clutch cover off on this thing. Like I said, this one is super jerky, which I guess they warned me on it because it was labeled La Jerky. So it just feels like it's got a big burn spot in the belt, just slipping real bad once it hits that. So clutch cover is back underneath here, so we'll pull that off and see what this belt looks like. And then I think the next thing we'll do is recover some seats and just check a few other little things on this thing and give it a good final detail. I just removed all the bolts from this clutch cover housing, so this will just slip off. Oh, I'm going to pop this air filter lid off too. There's always kind of a, I guess while we're at it, see what this air filter looks like. I kind of expected worse. Not super horrible. I've had some of these before where you drop them on the ground and it's just a huge mark of dust. But we'll throw a new one in there. Well, I'll figure out a way to wiggle this thing out here quick. Well, I gave up on trying to get this thing out. Maybe probably have to pull his shock off to get out of the way. Sometimes usually on these clutch covers, there's just kind of like a magical orientation to get them to slip out, but not on this one. So we'll pull this secondary clutch bolt out and get this belt off and see what it looks like. All right, the belt is off, and I see why. It's called La Jerky. So right there, get to focus here. There's a huge burn spot in this belt. Let me see here. There, you can kind of see it better right there. So every time this thing was getting to this spot, it was slipping and then grabbing. So new belt will definitely fix the jerkiness of this thing. Throw that thing back on there and put this clutch cover back on. All right, slip the new belt over the primary clutch there, and then the secondary, the way these things work on this one's a two-piece secondary, so this will slip back on, and once you suck the bolt down, it will tighten up on that belt. So we'll throw that thing on there and see how this thing drives. Okay, this is the driver's side seat here. I'm going to recover this. So first thing I'm going to do is pop these staples off on the bottom side. We'll go all the way around and take all these staples off, and I'll cut a sheet of vinyl to fit, stretch it, and staple it back on. It's going to be black though. I keep the black vinyl on hand. I don't really, this gray is kind of an odd color, but it'll be a little mismatched, but it won't have a giant hole in it. Okay, I've got that cover off. Here's the internal foam. Cut a sheet of black vinyl slip over here, and we're just going to start stapling this to the bottom side. Okay, I'm just kind of doing these corners right now. So I usually put one staple in the middle and then do the corners and pull out all the slack. So that's what it's going to look like here. We'll go all the way around and do the rest of it, and then this will be done. All right, here's the final product of this driver's seat. So this is the side that had kind of chunk taken out of it. Obviously there's a little bit of a dip in there, but looks a million times better. So we'll put that back on there. That driver's seat's back in place. Next thing I'm gonna tackle is on this door, this hinge is broken right there. So I'm gonna pull that bracket off and we'll just weld that back together. I was hoping this door, like this window was down like this when I got it. After I looked a little closer, oh, basically looks like these zippers have kind of pulled apart. Not entirely sure what the deal is with all of these cords there, but cut that off, and I don't think I'm gonna be able to save this window at all, but we'll get that door frame fixed, and then we'll kind of tackle some of these windshields and some other little stuff, and then it should be just about done. Then we'll take it for a drive. All right, here's my bracket there. I cleaned it up a little bit at the seam there, so we'll weld it back together. So I'm kind of a firm believer that you don't need super high quality tools to fix most stuff. So this little welder here is a $100 flux core welder that I bought, I don't know, probably like 8 years ago. It's even gone through a fire. Everything still works on it. And it will definitely do the job just fine for this. So I'll get this thing welded back up, and then we'll throw it back on there, and then that door frame won't be swinging around all funny anymore. And just like that, it's back together. So back on there it goes. I'm going to start detailing this one up. So on this one, the windshield's actually plastic on it. So you don't want to use like Windex or anything like that on these because it'll kind of give them a haziness. So something that works well is some plastic cleaner. This is kind of like a paste that you kind of rub on, let it set and harden, and then rub it back off and kind of buff it off. So we're going to do that to the front windshield. It also works really well on some of these side plastic windshields and stuff, or the windows. And should be a little more clear, and then we'll kind of detail this whole thing up and then go take it for a drive. Okay, I've let this paste kind of harden on there a little bit, and now I'm just taking a clean paper towel and just buffing it back off. Now you can see now nice and clear that is again. It's almost like new. So we'll finish that to the whole side, and we'll have a nice clean windshield again. My windshields are nice and clean. Even this passenger window cleaned up a little bit, got some clarity back. So next step is we're gonna do a little detailing. So I like to use kind of a variety of different detail sprays. This stuff seems to work pretty good. It's just a nice spray on and then rub it in sort of thing. So we'll get a lot of that nice black back on a lot of the pieces, and even like the reds. We'll get some shine back to that. So we'll go over and kind of detail everything on this thing, and then we're gonna be done. Well, here's the final product. I think this is about as clean as these things are gonna get, and I can't really justify putting that much more time into them. So on the inside, the dash, and like I said, these all have heaters and stuff in them too. But yeah, let's go for a ride. So sometimes I get people that, you know, have diesel trucks and stuff like that, and they're like, oh, I really want a diesel side-by-side, you know, because I like the power of the diesels. But people are going to be severely underwhelmed with the power of the diesels because they're not powerful. These kind of machines are really designed for work sites or farms where they got diesel on hand and everything runs on diesel, and they're kind of pure work machines. So let's see here, we'll go for a ride. We're in high gear right now. Like I said, top speed on these things is usually about 25 to maybe 30 mile an hour. Big reason for that is that's all they rev up to is about 3,500 RPM. So there's full throttle. So we're revving at 3,300 RPM, and we'll see what we get up to. We're about 25, right at about 30 there, and this is probably all she's gonna do. Yep, that's basically it. So yeah, if you need a good work machine, that's what these things are meant for. So yeah, on these they have electric dumps. We push that button and the box goes up back there. We'll put this thing all the way up and kind of show you the motor and stuff on these two. So these are a Kohler diesel. External alternator on them. Yeah, drivetrain's basically the same as the Ranger, same transmission as the Rangers and clutches and stuff. Yeah, well, one down. I got one more to do, and then I'm kind of done with all of these.